with the support from everybody over here to try and sing a little song in the glories of Lord Ram. And the lyrics is pretty simple. I'm hoping everybody should be able to follow that along with me and help me in just going about with it. The lyrics is simple. The line that is going to get repeated again and again. Probably you've heard this song is Ram 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 Jaya Ram 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 Ram. Okay, so that's what we're going to try and do. Okay. So we're going to call an action. So I'm going to do the line and then everybody is going to repeat after me. Okay. Ram 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 Jaya Ram 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 Ram. Ram 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 Jaya Ram 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 Ram. Ram 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 Jaya Ram 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 Ram.
God.
Thank you so much for your support. So, we sing or chant Jai Shri Ram, right? But what does that mean? So, I was listening to this beautiful lecture by my godbrother, who's giving it in ISKCON Bay. And I like the theme, and that's what I'm copying basically from him. But when we chant Jai Shri Ram, it brings us a lot of energy within us, right? We go louder and louder. We come up with more and more and more and more and more energy with it. That's because it's actually a war cry. Do you understand what a war cry is? When any army is going out for a war, they always have a war cry. And that war cry is basically used for people to be pumped up with energy. Various teams, sports teams would use such a slogan to pump them up, enthusiastically bring a lot of energy into the activity that they're doing. In the same way, when Lord Sri Ram was having this war against Ravana, and we all know the Ramayana, this was the war cry. Jai Shri Ram! Right? So that's the energy that it would bring in. But that's a war cry, right? So the war for Ramayana is over. Lord Sri Ram is victorious. He's back in Ayodhya. So now what? Now what about this slogan Jai Shri Ram? How do we connect to it? And then basically what we're going to be talking about today is being able to connect with Jai Shri Ram strongly, and then being able to go beyond it. It's not just a war slogan, it's a lot more than that. So what we'll talk about is we'll just start talking about Lord Ram overall. Who is he? Let's understand him completely. Let's understand the very common confusion that occurs, like at least it used to be in my mind. Let me know if it is in yours also. Ram versus Krishna versus Narsimha versus Gauranitai. What's all this happening? Like, why are we talking about so many different, but still saying Krishna is the supreme and all that? And then finally, from the exemplary behavior of Lord Ram, let's understand what he did and why, to an extent, and try and see how do we relate to it. What are we supposed to be doing today? We're not going to replicate what Sri Ram did as is, because we're not going out and declaring war on people around us, but we are doing something different. So what is that? That would be our thing to talk about. So how do we understand first who Lord Ram is? The very good and the starting point of it is going to be, so Valmiki, he met Narad Muni, and he's asking a question. He went good, and this is before the Ramayana. Lord Ram had appeared already, but he had not started his leelas. He's not started his pastimes. So at that time, Valmiki is questioning. He's saying, all of these amazing qualities that are there, is there anybody who possesses those qualities? Is there anybody right now who has all of those wonderful qualities? And he talks about 16 qualities, which I'll talk very briefly. So all these 16 amazing, beautiful qualities, is there anybody who even possesses them in today's day and age? And now we're talking about Satya Yuga. So what about Kali Yuga of people possessing those qualities, right? So it's like, does anybody have that quality? And that's when Narad Muni is like, he goes into a meditative state to meditate on the question. And he's saying, all these qualities are possessed by Lord Ram. And then he starts narrating the Ramayana even before it happens. So that's called the Mool Ramayana. Right? So not going into the technicalities of that, because then we kind of get digressed a lot, but the qualities that when Valmiki was described or he questioned about was, who is the Gunavan, who has all the gunas, the qualities, all of the qualities that we can talk about and think about. Who is that one personality who has all of them amazingly, right? And who is the one who is Viryavan, who is the one who is endorsed with all the prowess that exists, which is much greater than anybody else, which is supreme in itself. And who is the Dharmanjana, basically, who understands the righteousness in all actions. What is right, what is wrong, understanding all of that and performing actions accordingly. Who is the Kirtajna, who is the one who is always Kritagya, who is always grateful for anybody who does even a little for him. And we know all of these qualities as being the qualities of Lord Ram. And who is the one who is Satyavaka, who is always saying the truth. No matter what is happening, he always would say the truth. So some of these qualities we can see in different personalities also, but all of these qualities being in one personality, we will not be able to find that. Right? Similarly, who is self-determined, who is Dhira Vrita, who is the one who is Charitrena, who is the one who is endorsed with good conduct, good qualities in that sense. Who is the Sarva Bhuta Hita, basically, who is the one who is the well-wisher of all the living entities. Now, do we know of anybody who is a well-wisher of all living entities? Like, we might be a well-wisher of some, our community, our gender, our whatever, right? But being a well-wisher of everybody, that's only something that Lord Ram as a quality he's possessing. Then the question comes is, who's Vidyavan, who's Vidwan, basically who's the knower of everything, and Samartha, who's competent in doing everything, and similarly who's solely delightful in all appearances. So the appearance of the Lord is so delightful that no matter who, where, when they have the darshan of the Lord in its pure sense of not being covered by the modes of material nature, once we are able to have the darshan of the Lord, it's so attractive that we forget about everything else. That's how attractive Lord is. Right? Then he's saying who's courageous and who is the one who's able to conquer anger, Jita Krodha. Who is the one who's been able to conquer anger? Have we been able to conquer anger? No, right? So these are qualities that we don't possess, but it's the Lord who possesses these qualities. Similarly, the other quality is like who's endorsed with splendor and brilliance, and one who is free from envy, and one whom even the demigods would be afraid of to get engaged in a war with. So these are like the 16 qualities that Lord Ram possesses. So when this question was asked by Valmiki, who is the one who possesses all of these qualities in the amazing way? And the only answer that Narad Muni obviously could have given is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because we're describing Ramayana, he mentioned Lord Ram, and then he kind of gave all the details about how Lord Ram articulated. Because the question was about his qualities, it has to be substantiated with evidence. So the entire Ramayana was told, saying, this is how, see how he in his entire life demonstrated all of these qualities. And these qualities are something which is exemplary for us to see how we can learn from them. Okay? But coming up to the point of, which is very important for us to understand is, when we talk about, when this lecture probably was happening on a Janmashtami, we would talk about these qualities about Krishna. Most attractive, most amazing, all of these things of being the six bhagas and having them in supreme qualities. Now it becomes the Narsimha Chaturdashi, we will talk about the same thing about Lord Narsimha. When it becomes, the appearances of any of these forms of the Lord, we're going to glorify them in the similar ways. So what's happening over here? Like, is Ram equal to Krishna? Or are they different? If they are same, then why are we talking about them differently? But if they are different, then why are we talking about the same qualities? Right? So the point here is, all of them are Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The one who possesses all of the qualities, all the six bhagas in the supreme quantity. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, let's take an individual, for example, right? Any one of us can probably relate to that. If I, as an individual, am sitting over here and engaging and interacting with all of you, there's a certain personality of mine that you engage with, right? When I'm at home and I am engaging with, say, my family, my engagement with them would be a little different flavor of the same thing, but there's a difference. When I'm in office, I'm a very different personality altogether, because then I'm in a professional capacity, wearing a suit, I'm talking in that terminologies. And so on and so forth. I'm with my friends, I'm with a very different personality in that sense. What my friends would talk about me versus what my friends would talk about, family would talk about me versus what my office colleagues are going to talk about me versus what you guys are going to talk about me is going to be absolutely different. So if me, who is a very limited, tiny living entity of the size of 1 by 10,000 tip of hair, what do I possess as anything? If I can have multiple personalities to engage with people differently, why can't the Supreme Lord have that? We have to understand the fact that the Lord is supreme in the sense that depending on the mood of the devotee, he can engage with different devotees differently. Like again, one beautiful leela that is coming up to my mind is that of say Lord Jagannath, for example, right? Lord Jagannath, he interacts with devotees so beautifully. There is this one devotee who came up all the way walking till Puri, and he says, I want to see the Lord and have his darshan. Everybody is saying the Lord is in Puri. He goes, in his mind, the appearance of the Lord is that like with that elephant-like view. Okay, and he goes, has darshan of Lord Jagannath and said, my Lord is not here, people lied to me, and he's going away. He's walking out of Puri, and the Lord says, my devotee is going disappointed. So there's a leela that happens after that, in which the Lord appears in the Hathivesha avatar in the form of an elephant. So Lord Jagannath once a year comes up in that very merciful form of his to give darshan to that particular devotee. So in that way, the Lord is supreme. He's not limited like us being able to, have. So if I, for example, don't like eating spicy food. So irrespective of if I'm engaging with my friends, my family, my office colleagues, that is the common element with me. Like there's only a limited extent to which I can have diversity in my relationship with people and my engagement with people. But when we talk about Supreme Personality of Godhead, He's not limited like us. He's unlimited, which means He has unlimited ways to engage with different devotees. So His different forms in which He appears, His different avatars, His different leelas is only and only to be able to engage and relate with different devotees in different ways, that the way they want to approach Him. He's so merciful to give us the path, like even to the extent that those who want to not believe in the existence of the Supreme Lord itself, He engages with them by giving them the intelligence of making them atheist. He said, I will give you the logic and intelligence to be able to come up with all of these different thought processes, which is going to make you come to the conclusion that there is no God. Even that is the way Lord is engaging with devotees the way they want to. Right? So Krishna, Ram, Vishnu, all of them are the same. Like when it comes to the topic of Krishna versus Vishnu, Srila Prabhupada once very nicely mentioned, Vishnu is Krishna in office, and Krishna is Vishnu out of office. How do we understand that? That's a very beautiful thing that Srila Prabhupada said for low intelligence people like me to be able to understand things, right? He gives an analogy to explain, and he says, the president of a country, there are people, there are all these big dignitaries and bureaucrats and businessmen, they're waiting outside to meet the president. And the secretary is saying the president is busy, wait for your turn. Okay, we're going to call you when he's ready to meet you. All right, but then the door cracks open a little bit and you're able to see inside what's happening. The president is actually becoming a horse and giving a ride to the grandson. So the same president, for whom the entire dignitaries are waiting inside, is also a grandfather and engaging with the grandson in a very different way. So in the same way, Krishna is that representation of the president who is not being in the office but engaging with his family members with the grandson. Vishnu on the other hand is in the office in a very formal way. So in the same way, Lord Ram is very merciful in order to be giving the mercy to engage with the devotees who want to see him with that opulence of being a king, of being that brave personality. if that is how we want to understand and relate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is how He mercifully engages with us by saying, okay, I'm going to come as Lord Ram. I'm going to show you how I can be a family person and be the amazing, most amazing king out there whom you can engage with. Right? But then when we are saying this, okay, then we have said that that would mean that everybody is the same. And from our perspective of approaching them in devotion, yes, they are all the same. There is no difference. But there is still a difference. Now, how do we say there is a difference and there is still not a difference at the same time? That's the concept that, again, very mercifully Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all of these cases have given us. He's saying, Achintya Veda Abheda philosophy. He's saying there is simultaneously oneness and difference in all of these different conceptions of things, because again, we are trying to understand similarity and differences on the platform of our limited understanding of things. But Krishna, Ram, Vishnu, they're all not inconceivable. We cannot conceive them. So there are aspects of us which we would understand, oh, same, and then there's aspect of them which is different also. How is it different? If you understand this very beautiful picture, I'm not sure if you have seen this very carefully over here or not, but in this you can very clearly see that there is Vaikuntha mentioned and then there is Goloka Vrindavan mentioned on the top. So the point here is, the Lord, when we read this section of the Bhagavatam which describes all of this, we can very clearly see Krishna is the source of everything. We would understand how Krishna expands into Baladev, and from there the quadruple expansions and so on, the entire creation is going to happen. So what the Bhagavatam would describe it as, Krishna is the avatari and the others are avatara. Even though they are the same, there is no difference, but still Krishna is the original source of everybody, but everybody else being the same also still is the avatara. So when in the Bhagavatam section in the very first canto, the Dashama Avatara are described, after that there is this beautiful line which says, Krishnastu Bhagavana Swayam. Trying to very clearly describe the fact that Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the others are avatars, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no difference. But still there is one origin. How does Srila Prabhupada explain that to us to understand? He talks about, you got multiple candles, so let's say diyas, whatever you love, right? You take one original candle to light all the other candles. Now, when all of these candles are lighting together, they're all identical candles. Is there a difference? No. They're all the same candle. However, there was still one original candle from which all the other candles were lit. So it's a little inconceivable because Krishna is inconceivable. They are simultaneously one but still different. Right? So in the same way, now let's come to the point of, we call, let's chant the glories and the holy name of Krishna. And let's chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Right? We say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's the Maha mantra we say. Okay. And what about those people who chant Ram, 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 Ram? What about them? If they are not chanting the Maha mantra, then are they not getting the same spiritual place by chanting the Ram, Ram, Ram? Yeah. Because the holy name of the Lord is the same. There is no difference. But still there is a difference. This is interesting. We chant the glories of Lord Ram, or we chant the glories of Lord Krishna, or we chant the glories of any of the Vishnu Tattva avatars that exist. It's all the same. It is still purifying for us. Let me refer to again the scripture. We should not be creating things ourselves, right? So this is Satanama Sutra. It says, Vishnu ekaki kam namapi sarva vedadikam matam. He's saying Vishnu's one name, ekaki nam, one utterance of the name of Lord Vishnu, it is going to give you all the understanding that you get by the studying of the Vedas. By just one pure utterance with understanding and with love of Vishnu will give you the full understanding of all the Vedas. Just one chanting of them.
Vishnu?
Of the name of Vishnu, yes.
Vishnu, when you say, what is it? Krishna, Rama, whatever what you want to say.
That's what you're talking about. I think you just came in, so you kind of missed a little bit of the background of it.
And then people call Sita Mata and Radha Mata.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what exactly we are talking about, that there is a similarity and there is still a difference. So, one utterance, pure utterance of the name of Vishnu is what gives you the full knowledge of the Vedas, full understanding of the Vedas. But the next line also says, Tadrakta Nama Sahasrena Rama Nama Samam Smritam. He's saying that one utterance of the name of Lord Ram, only one utterance of the name of Lord Ram with love and devotion is equal to Sahasrena, 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. So that's the scriptures which he's talking about. So he's saying one name of Lord Vishnu's utterance is giving you the full understanding of Vedas. One utterance of Lord Ram is giving you the same benefit as 1,000 utterances of the Lord Vishnu's name.
Rama and Krishna, they are identical?
They are. Yes. They are identical but still different. That's what we were talking about just before you came in. They are same in the sense that they are all Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still there is a difference with respect to how they engage with devotees. There are different ways in which the Lord can engage. He is supreme, He can engage with devotees in supreme ways. And so, there is a difference with how they engage with devotees, but still the result would be the same.
In India, there is Ram Lala temple now.
Yes.
And then within a year or two, they are going to establish the same Lord Krishna temple in Mathura.
Yeah.
Because the court case is going on in the Supreme Court. Hopefully they will settle it in 2 years, at least, okay, 1 year. So people will go, now they are going to Ram Lala temple.
Yeah.
Now that case is settled and people will also go.
So I'll cut you short over there because I understand where you're
What
going.
should people do? Either go to this
You can go either ways.
or go to that temple.
You can go either ways.
Please clarify.
You can go either ways. It is depending upon your own mood. How much of understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead do we have? I just talked about the example, and that was just right before you came in, is that Krishna is the original source, but everybody else extending from Krishna is also Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we approach Supreme Personality of Godhead with love and devotion, the result is the same. It is about us on how do we engage with them. How do we want to engage with them? How do we want to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead? In that way, just let me finish please. In that way, the Lord would engage with us in a different way. So there is similarity in the respect that they are all the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, there is a difference with respect to their engagement with the devotees. Okay? I'll just continue on with talking about, just in the same context, I'll just talk about another quotation which comes with Brahmananda Purana, which is basically talking about now Krishna, chanting of Krishna. How is that in comparison? So he says, Sahastra Nam Punyama Triti. Sahastra Nama, which I said 1,000 times. When you do that, three, which is like 3 times, which is like 3,000 times. Avtarya to Yat Phalam, like the benefit that you're going to get out of that is Ekavrita tu Krishnaya Nami Nam Tat Prayachitam. Like the 3,000 names of the chanting of Lord Vishnu, the result of that is going to be the same as chanting one time Krishna. So we said 1 time chanting of the Lord Ram's name is equal to 1,000 times of chanting of Lord Vishnu. 1 time chanting of Krishna's name is 3,000 times chanting of Lord Vishnu. So 1 time chanting of Krishna's name is equal to 3 times chanting of Lord Ram. So the result is the same. There is no difference in approaching the Lord in any of these different forms of His. The result is the same. But then why is it being said over here that by chanting Krishna's name, you're getting much more quicker and faster advancement than chanting Ram's name and then chanting Vishnu's name, even though they're all the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The reason why it is being said is because, as I said, the qualities of engagement that every Supreme Personality is going to be having is going to be limited based on what they're trying to meet as engagement with devotees in that avatar. So Lord Ram, for example, we can very clearly see Lord Ram engages with his devotees as being the king. So does Krishna also. He is the king in Ayodhya, he is the king in Dwarka. Right? Similarly, any such engagement that we would see in Lord Ram, we can see that engagement in Lord Krishna also. His engagement with brothers, his engagement with wife, his engagement with parents, all of that Krishna also exhibits very beautifully. But one additional thing that is there with Krishna that no other avatar is going to have is that loving engagement in Madhurya Ras that no other avatar is going to do. So it is said in the scriptures that there are 64 qualities. There are 64 qualities in total that exists. Any Vishnu avatar will have 60. The 4 which is related to that Madhurya Rasa, that very unique experience that you have by engaging with Krishna in the terms of, for example, like one of those qualities is that Krishna is able to wonderfully attract every living entity by playing on his flute. That is only unique to Krishna. Even though all the other avatars is Supreme Personality of God, no difference. So when we are engaging we're engaging with Lord Ram, when we are engaging with Krishna, our result of devotion is going to be the same. We will be able to get out of the material world, we will be able to engage with their loving services, all of that is going to be the same. But that, if we are engaging in the service of Lord Ram, then we go to his planet in Vaikuntha, what is being shown over there. And then we are able to engage with him in all of these 60 different qualities, but not the 4 that is unique to Krishna, which is available only in Goloka Vrindavan. That is why it's called the highest point, because then you are understanding and engaging Krishna in all complete, you're understanding the completeness of the Supreme Personality of God. Right? So each of them, very beautifully, so 64 qualities for Krishna, 60 for any other Vishnu Tattva. And similarly, if we extend that, the scriptures also mention Shiva Tattva would have 54 such qualities. A living entity, a Jiva Tattva, can have maximum of 50 such qualities only, not more than that. So, in that ways, now let's take an example of a very exalted devotee, Hanuman, right? So the devotion that Hanuman had for Sri Ram is exemplary. There is nobody which probably meets that level. And for him, he understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead completely. And I'm going to tell a Leela in which it kind of depicts very nicely. So Hanuman, but he really loves to engage with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of him being the master, I being the servant who's serving him. It's the Dasya Bhava. He is the pinnacle of Dasya Bhava. Like, no matter what you say, I'm going to do it. If it is in my convenience, not convenience, no matter what, I'm going to do it. That's how he wants to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's why he's very lovingly engaged in the service of Lord Rama. On the other hand, the gopis, for example, again, very lovingly engaged. Each of them are equally spiritually elevated beings. So the gopis, for example, now they are engaging with Krishna. They are engaging with him they are already engaging with him in the Dasya Bhava. They always do things in order to serve him. How do I please Krishna? How do I do things? So Dasya Bhava is already there, but they also have a Madhurya Rasa, the Madhurya Bhava associated to it, where it's a loving exchange in a very different level, which nobody is able to do that with Lord Rama. So just a little background on that is also there was these sages, very amazing sages, who wanted to engage in loving devotion with Lord Ram, and they were wanting to engage with Lord Ram in that Madhurya Rasa. He said, sorry, as Lord Ram, I cannot do that. You come as gopis in Vrindavan, as Krishna, I'm going to do that. So, coming back to the original point, there is no difference, but still there is a difference. That is the Achinta Veda Aveda, where there are all Vishnu Tattva, there are all Supreme Personality of God, they are all transcendently loving, they are all are worshipable deities, but still there is a difference with respect to who is the source, who is the original among the same entities, and who is the one who is engaging how with their devotees. So that love extend. If we want to experience the full 64 engagements with the Lord in that unique way, then we should be going with Krishna. But if you are okay with 60, pick up any Vishnu Tattva. It's all the same. No problem with that. Right? So, coming up to that, the example that I was talking about of of Hanumanji understanding the full leelas about the Supreme Personality of God and still having that special devotion for Lord Ram. So, this is again this leela coming in from Jagannath Puri. Okay? So Jagannath Puri, Lord Jagannath, and this is actually the leela related to Sudarshan Chakra of how he got the shape in which we see him on the altar. Like Sudarshan Chakra is supposed to be disc, circular, but he's not. When with Lord Jagannath, he's not in the disc format. He's in the pillar form. He has got a very different form. So Sudarshan Chakra is getting pride on the fact that the Lord always carries me. And in that pride, he's going around and doing offenses in this sense. So Lord Jagannath once says, Sudarshan, go and call Hanuman. And I said, fine, I can just go anywhere. I can go at so fast speed. I go, Hanuman, Jagannath is calling. Who Jagannath? I don't know. I don't know who Jagannath. That's part of the Leela. He knows, but still he's saying, I don't know who Jagannath. What? He goes back. Lord Jagannath is saying, I don't know who Jagannath is. But you call him, he's not coming. So go tell him Ram is calling. He goes back. I said, Ram is calling you equally. Oh, my Lord is calling me. You go, I'm coming. He said, come on, Hanuman. You're not as fast as I am, okay? Come sit on me, I'll take you. And Hanuman, he knows what's happening here. He said, no, you go back, don't worry. He said, you slow, you're going to take so much time. You're going to make the Lord keep waiting or what? Sit on me, I'll take you fast. No. He said, let's have a race. So both of them leave. Hanumanji reaches Puri first. Sudarshan Chakra is coming afterwards. And then when we enter Puri temple, we'll be able to have this beautiful darshan of Hanumanji with his 4 arms. So Sudarshan Chakra, what he's trying to do is going around the temple now, trying to stop Hanumanji to enter in. Right? He's doing an offense over there. So that's where Hanumanji takes up that form of 4 arms, catches hold of Sudarshan Chakra, drags him inside, said, Lord, you called me, and this is, by the way, what your servant is doing. And that's where, Sudarshan Chakra gets the punishment, is that you're too proud, I'll not have you on my order at all. And then Sudarshan Chakra realizes his mistake, and they said, please, I'm so sorry. They said, okay, I'm going to take away your pride. Everybody has pride in their shape. I'm going to take that away. So that's why Sudarshan Chakra was given the mercy, saying, okay, you can be on my altar, but in a disc shape. In the shape of a pillar and not a disc. That's how Sudarshan Chakra is on the altar, and then he also gets a position on the top of the temple. My point being over here is, the Lord engages with devotees in different ways. So Hanumanji understands who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, but his love, his devotion is towards Lord Ram. Even though he understands Lord Jagannath is also Ram, and he also understands Krishna is also Ram, and he does all of these different leelas with other avatars also in some shape and form, but he still has that special devotion for Lord Ram. But to be called as Ram as being any less than the gopis, no. So there is no difference in that sense, but there is still a difference when we are devotees. We would want to try and take, because we are those weak people out there, right? Who get distracted pretty easily and say, I don't have time to chant my 16 rounds. What are you talking about if I do a chanting of Lord Vishnu's name so it becomes 16 into 3000? Not possible. Right? So that is why we need to take the most powerful antibiotic out there to get rid of our infection of material diseases because we are that weak that we are so heavily infected. Now that brings me to the last point for our thing. Like all of this we have talked about, we've understood the glories of Lord, the Supreme Personality of God. We understand how amazing and merciful Lord Ram is also. But what we talked about at the very beginning and said was going beyond the Jai Shri Ram is like we understand Lord Ram, but how do we engage with him? How are we supposed to be reciprocating with him in today's day? So we look at a little bit of different engagement that Lord Ram does and then kind of see what that means at the root level and try and translate into what are the instructions for us in today's day and age. For example, Lord Ram, he is that exemplary king who is taking care of everybody. Anybody who comes as a king, he's that perfect administrator who's taking care of everybody. And that is why we kind of use the term thing, Ram Rajya is like being in the kingdom of Lord Ram. There can be no miseries, no suffering, because the king is so potent, the king is so amazingly skilled that he's taking care of everybody. What is the problem in today's day and age is all of these leaders, all of these king positions, or all of that leadership position, for them when they say, I have to take care of all the citizens, the praja, the citizens, they categorize only human form of life as being the citizens. In the Vedic, when the Vedic principles were still very strong, applicable as Lord Ram demonstrated, they would say that all living entities on the entire face of the planet is basically their praja. So they will not only take care of the plants and animals and all form of living entities in no matter what body form they have, because they understand the difference between body and soul, and they understand that the soul is nothing but parts and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that they are supposed to be engaged in the service of the Lord. So they understand this, and in very expertly would they engage everybody in the service of the Lord. They would very expertly tell everybody about the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that they are able to elevate the entire praja, the entire citizens, all living entities, slowly and gradually to the point of coming to Krishna Prema. That used to be the objective. That is what Sri Ram did in his own time also. So what are we supposed to be doing? What do we learn from this? What do we understand from this? We understand the fact that we have to also understand that all living entities are parts and parcel of the Lord. And we also have to follow the same path of Lord Ram and try and help everybody to elevate themselves to come to the point of Krishna Prema, give them the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. So we have to be the perfect preacher out there of this science, engaging with them in the modes that they are in. Somebody we lovingly explain, somebody we scold them, somebody we do something. Like the Supreme Personality of Godhead engages with the devotees in the mood that they are in, and they approach him in that way so that they are able to accept the lovingness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we go out, we are also supposed to be the same merciful on all living entities, engaging them in a way that is acceptable to them, so that they just don't run away, but we preach them nicely and nurture them nicely. That is the quality of Lord Ram that we are supposed to be taking. How do we do that? The books, the Harinam, the Prasad, in any form we are supposed to be giving Krishna to them in whatever form they are accepting. You love to eat? Sure, here's something to eat. You love to read? Here's a book. You love to dance? Come in the kirtan. Right? You're a very nice musician? Come play for Krishna. Some way or the other, an expert leader is the one who engages everybody nicely. In the same way, when we extend into other mercy that Lord Rama has exemplarily shown us, is he's shown us by his qualities of being a son. And as a son, he's like, you took a vow, and because of that vow, you're having to send me out to the forest. Even if it is painful for me, it's okay, not a problem. I'm going to make sure that I don't let your vow be broken. I don't let any infamy come to you. I don't let you deteriorate in any of your standards at all. That is the love that a son has for the father. That irrespective of what, I'm going to love you, I'm going to make sure that I do the best that is there for you as a son, right? As a son, that is what we are trying to do. That is what putra means, the one who it delivers. That is what the putra means. So what are we supposed to be doing as an exemplary, looking at the example of Lord Ram being a son? We also, and this applies not only to son, it applies to daughters also. In that way, what we're supposed to be doing is we're supposed to be engaging ourselves very strongly into Krishna consciousness. Understand the science very well, understand the Vedic scriptures very well, understand the conclusions of it, understand the practical implementations of it. Once we have understood that, and when we become Krishna conscious, this is what the scripture says. And Prahlad Maharaj is an example of that, Dhruv Maharaj is an example of that. where it's very clearly mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam also. Once you have taken up the process of Krishna consciousness, then you're able to help deliver your entire family. So there is one which is direct deliverance that you're able to do, direct mercy that you're able to do is like you are exemplary showing within your family now how Krishna consciousness is supposed to be executed. And by the association of devotees like you, your family is able to take benefit out of it. So as a son, as a daughter, that's the best that you can do for your family. So when we say, okay, you're supposed to be doing the best for your family, the best that we can do for our family, our parents, is basically to engage them, first engage ourselves into the loving service of Krishna, and then engage our families also. What happens with that? The example that I'm saying of Prahlad and Dhruva is, once a devotee is born in a family and they're executing devotional service perfectly, 7 generations before and 7 generations afterwards get the same destiny as you do. So if you have been able to achieve Krishna Prema and that love for the Lord and have been lovingly engaged in the service of the Lord, and you attain that Vaikuntha state that is being mentioned over here, then 7 generations before, 7 generations after attain the same thing. So no matter what you're trying to do right now to comfort your family by giving them a nice good home, making sure your parents have the best medical support for them, giving them love, whatever, amplify that to the maximum and add on more of that benefits. That's what they get if we take up the process of Krishna consciousness seriously. Sri Ram made sure that his father does not suffer any infamy because he broke his vow. He made sure that he's taking care of his father. So are we supposed to be taking care of our family by taking up the process of Krishna consciousness so seriously and so amazingly that by example we teach them and guide them, and even if they're not able to take it up fully right now, we come to the point where we come to the stage of fully surrendering to Krishna so that they also come to that stage. Is that not the best gift that we can give? There's this continuous conversation that keeps happening in which, love your parents are your first gurus, parents are equal to God, etc., etc. Parents, let's first understand the basic important aspect of that. For us to be able to do devotion, for us to be able to have intelligence, to be able to understand the Vedic scriptures and practice them, we need a human form of body. Do we agree to that?
Yes.
It cannot be done in the animal form of body, right? Where did we get this human form of body? Through our parents. So are we indebted to them for them to be giving us this opportunity of coming in as humans and being able to start doing anything in the process of Krishna consciousness? Yes. How do we repay that debt? By executing the duty of the human form of life and also helping them getting that same benefit. That's how we get rid of that debt. Otherwise, we can never. If we waste the human form of life and just keep doing things that we want to do and not understand what is the purpose of human form of life, then we have led the life of an animal and we have degraded our entire family trees, including ourselves. That is what we are supposed to be avoiding. Next, Lord Ram as the husband. So the very basic first thing he does is he exemplarily teaches us how to protect women and children. And that is again a very important quality that we are supposed to be imbibing, is that attitude of protection. You're supposed to be giving protection to everybody. You have to make sure that we come up to that level of courage where we are able to help and protect everybody. But how do we give protection? I cannot be with everybody, everywhere, every time. We can still be under the attack from some external forces. The amount of irreligious activity in today's day and age is so high, you cannot be with everybody every time to give them protection. So what do you give? How do you help them? We help them by giving them protection in the terms of giving them Krishna consciousness again, because by giving them the name of Krishna, it's Krishna who's now protecting them. And now let's talk about Sita Ram, where we see that exemplary husband-wife combination. No matter what, none of them was, with giving them support even in the difficult times and all of those things. That is what we are supposed to be doing in our practice of Krishna consciousness also. When we try in the family to do the practice of Krishna consciousness alone, it's very difficult. But if, as a family, we do it together and support each other in that process, in whatever our capacity is, then that makes our home equivalent to the temple, equal to a dham. That is what we are supposed to be learning. And what is a family? It's that immediate bodily relationship also, and that family is this family also. The one that is here in this room together is also a family. We are spiritually connected to Srila Prabhupada, for example. So Lord Rama has very exemplary again shown us how to be engaged always with the family for the highest principles. He made sure he understood the principles, what is the highest principle, and made sure that is followed. The highest principle of human beings is to engage in Krishna consciousness. Together as a family, we are supposed to be doing that. One falls weak in the family member, the other ones help and support them and by saying, hey, you're doing something wrong. Or for that matter, as a team, the family becomes a team, and that family as a team together executes Krishna consciousness. One person is doing one service, the other is doing other service, the entire cycle is complete. The amount of services that is available in Krishna consciousness is unlimited. One can cook, the other can serve. Or the third can wash dishes, whatever. Right? There's so many different ways in which services can be done, but when we do it as a family, kids also included in that, elderly also included in that. Males, females, everybody equally engaged in the process of Krishna consciousness together makes us strong together. We cannot, otherwise, a little bit of deviation, we can get deviated very easily. In that ways, again, Lord Ram also very exemplarily, he, as a brother also, he led everybody to engage into the right things. And everybody, so for example, even Lakshman, when he would get a little bit wavy, in his whatever, right? So in that case, Lord Ram would again encourage him, like, no, we are supposed to be doing the right thing, right? So that is what we have to be. We have to become the first-class citizens, taking up the process of Krishna consciousness and engaging everybody in the society also very lovingly, and showing them with the example that this is where, when you execute Krishna consciousness, you get the happiness. My final point is important and probably the most critical takeaway for us. Lord Ram is very lovingly called by his devotees as Maryada Purushottama Shri Ram. Right? Yeah. So Purushottama is like Purusha Uttama, the Supreme Personality. Right? But what does it mean by Maryada Purushottama Shri Ram? Maryada means limits. The one who never skipped his limits, never crossed the boundaries of where they're supposed to be is Maryada Purushottama Shri Ram. He never crossed the limits of what is the religious principle that applies at the given amount of time. What is that for us? What is our guiding principles of what we are not, that boundary against which we are not supposed to be crossing? I'm going to so I'll just read the translation. This is Nectar of Instruction, the book which is giving us instructions. Let's look at the first verse of it also. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the urge of anger, and the urge of tongue, belly, and genitals. One who is able to control the urge of all of these different senses in one row, being the urge of the tongue to speak, to eat nonsense, the urge of the belly is to just like go crazy when I'm hungry. All of those things is basically the limit set to us, which translates for us, as Srila Prabhupada has given us, the 4 regulative principles. That's our Maryada. The 4 regulative principles, which are no meat eating, right? No intoxications, no illicit sex, and no gambling. These are the 4 regulative principles that Srila Prabhupada has given us as our Maryada, as our limits, as our boundaries, which we are not supposed to be crossing, because when we cross them, we get vulnerable to all the attacks of Maya and everything else that we talked about as qualities of Lord Ram that we are supposed to be imbibing within ourselves, will not be able to do that. So if you are doing anything, if you are having in any shape and form meat or intoxicants or anything of that nature, we should know this as a fact. Like, I'm no one to kind of say, stop it. It's your own choice, and Krishna gives that independence to everybody. So I cannot force you to do that. But we have to be mindful that then we are putting ourselves in the path of destruction. Ourselves means the soul. Our original identity of that, of a living entity, we are putting that into danger by putting ourselves into positions where we are only going downwards, 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 into hellish conditions, suffering more and more and more. And not only are we doing that, if we are engaging our family members also in doing that, we are taking them along with us. As parents, as spouses, we're supposed to be taking care of all of these things very importantly. So, the conclusion of this is the four regulative principles is what is our safeguard, our protection. We're supposed to be using that to protect ourselves. We're supposed to be using the amazing power and mercy that we're getting in from the names of the Lord, using that, chanting that, to engage ourselves in the service of the Lord. That's how we elevate ourselves. And when we elevate ourselves, we're able to elevate others also. Now it's a very difficult task. And that's where the mercy from the parampara system comes in. And there's a very special mercy also that has come to us in this context. Is there's a prasad from Ayodhya. Vijay Prabhu, I don't know how he got it. But he's got these small packets which is with me. With after the lecture, I can distribute that out. I think I have around 50 of them, which should hopefully cover everybody here. But that mercy that we are getting from all of these different sources, the Lord's form, the name, the scriptures, the gurus, the Vaishnavas, let's take all of that together in order to be able to be the amazing first-class citizens ourselves and be the leaders who can deliver this whole world. Thank you. We'll take a minute for quick question and then any question?
What lesson the devotees of Lord Rama temple, they should learn from you, for people like you, because they want to be, it was even important to Krishna temple. So what lesson those people who go there are
so all they need to, everybody, as I said, it's not just devotees in Ayodhya who is going to have darshan of Sri Ram Lalla or going to Mathura to have Lord Krishna. It's every living entity who is supposed to be understanding themselves as the living entity, eternal living entity, understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead and understanding our relationship with them. That's the three important steps which all the scriptures is completely giving us. Irrespective of whom we are, how do we engage with the Lord? That's a different story. But this is the basic ground on top of which every devotion, every bhakti yoga is going to be staging. Who we are, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is our relationship with Him.
ISKCON Temple Mayapur, they did not a service in Ram Temple.
Right. Because they understand that Supreme Personality of Godhead in any shape and form is all the same. That's why they lovingly engage in every form. And
still distinction is there still.
There is still a distinction. Yes. That's where Achintya Abhed is coming. They are all the same, but still there are a little difference in their engagement with their devotees and their love for devotees. Devotees love for them rather. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is unlimited. He has unlimited forms. I think we are at time. We'll be doing a couple of more things to handle if you want to do.
We can do one more question.
Okay, we can take one more question. Thank you for the mercy. Anybody else having any questions or comment or want to add their realization? Feel free to do that also.
I think you read a book, Nectar of Instruction.
Right.
Radha Kunda and Shyam Kunda are very important.
Yes.
I think your visits to Radha Kunda and Shyam Kunda, when did you visit them?
Last was 3 years ago.
What was the condition? Because I've read.
Good point. Let me talk about that for a minute, okay? And then you can tell me whenever the time is up. So, when we are visiting these dhams, we are talking about the condition of Shyamakund and Radhakund. The point is whenever we are going to the dham, right? The dham is not revealed to everybody, right? When we go to the dham, we can see, oh, so much dirt. We can see all the materialistic thing. If we go with the materialistic eyes and materialistic attitude, we will see the materialistic dirt over there. But if you are going with the spiritual attitude, then underneath that materialistic dirt, we would be able to actually have the darshan of Dham, which is transcendental.
I think you have not seen fit with what others done.
Yeah.
More than understand.
So that's what our Guru Maharaj and what our Parampara system would say whenever we are visiting a Dham.
It should be very clean.
Right. That would happen, that's Kali Yuga, it would happen. But that's where our test is. Are we able to see beyond that and actually have the darshan of the Dham or not? You know, when we go to a temple, when we are entering into a temple program, we can keep complaining about, oh, there's no sufficient chair, there's no sufficient prasad, blah, 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 blah. We can keep doing that. That is because our materialistic mind is continuously looking at these things and not looking at the transcendental pleasure that we can have. What Srila Prabhupada talks about is that we are supposed to be, just let me finish. So, what Srila Prabhupada talks about is we are supposed to be like the Hamsas, right? Basically, the quality of Hams is that from a mixture of water and milk, they are able to extract only the milk and leave the water as is. That's their special quality. So whenever we are going into any place, we would be getting spiritual and material. We are supposed to be training ourselves to extract the spiritual benefit from everywhere and leave out the materialistic things that we are able to see over there. Which includes even going to the Dham. When we look at the Dham from a materialistic eyes and saying, oh, good nice road construction, good hotels, whatever, then we are doing a Dham Aparad. We are supposed to be very careful against that. I think we should stop with that. But we can talk, Prabhu. We can talk well, sir. We can continue having a conversation. Cleanliness is important, yes. But yeah, okay. We'll talk at the break. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we have a little bit of a special schedule today. So before the main arti, we will be having Pushpanjali for Sri Ram. So everyone will be able to come and offer flower petals to Sri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. And don't forget to collect your special maha from Ayodhya, one per family, please. So you can have two lines, one for Matajis, one for Prabhus. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Govinda, Hare Krishna.